Thank you all for coming. So, parents, relatives, friends, guests, faculty, returnees from the classes of 2020 and 2021, and graduates of the class of 2022. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 131st Stanford Commencement Exercises and to the Diploma Ceremony in International Relations. I'm Ken Schultz. I'm a professor of political science, and I'm faculty director of the International Relations program. I'm delighted to be joined on stage today by a number of faculty who teach in the IR program, and I just wanted to briefly introduce and acknowledge them. There's Yasmina Boich, lecturer in international relations, Rose Gottemoeller, Stephen C. Hazy Lecturer at the Center of International Security and Cooperation, Pavel Latomsky, lecturer in international relations, Robert Rakove, lecturer in international relations, Steve Stedman, senior fellow at the Freeman Spogli Institute for International Studies, and Gili Vardi, lecturer in history and international relations. Since international relations is an interdisciplinary program, many of the faculty who played a key role in teaching and advising our undergraduates are scattered across campus today at similar ceremonies like this for the departments of political science, history, economics, sociology, and many more. We also owe a great deal to countless language instructors, as well as faculty at overseas campuses. These links across disciplines and around the world are what gives international relations program its vitality and diversity. Now, this is a celebratory day, made even more so by the fact that we're able to celebrate not just the class of 2022, but also some members of the class of 2020 and 2021 whose in-person ceremonies were canceled due to the pandemic. So we get to say both farewell and welcome back. That's very exciting. But even as this is a celebratory occasion, I feel we need to acknowledge that it marks the end of a difficult year. We returned to campus, but the pandemic wasn't through with us, and everyone has felt its effects in one way or another, either through illness, the loss of friends and family, or disruptions to classes and activities. Meanwhile, the Russian invasion of Ukraine has touched many members of our community and been a sober reminder that the horrors of war have not been banished to history as much as we'd like to believe otherwise. Closer to home, we deeply felt the loss of one of our own, Katie Meyer, an IR major of the class of 2022. Katie was a vibrant presence and a friend to many, and she is sorely missed here today. Katie has been granted a posthumous degree in international relations, and a diploma has been sent to her parents, who are also in our thoughts today. All of this amplifies how grateful we are to be together on this occasion, and it also underscores how impressive the accomplishments of these graduates have been. So let me say a few things about the class of 2022. We have 69 majors and 9 minors in this class. They are themselves an international group coming from 11 different countries. And after a hiatus of a few years, our students are back doing overseas studies. And this class has done overseas experiences on every continent except Antarctica. 16 are receiving honors for doing a thesis in either international relations or an interdisciplinary honors program. 2 of them received a Firestone Medal, which is a university award recognizing excellence in honors research. Their theses covered a variety of pressing topics ranging from attitudes towards immigrants and the rights of refugees, the use of propaganda in China, and the management of great power conflict through force and diplomacy. IR majors have also done minors in 19 other departments or programs ranging from art history to computer science, and they are receiving co-terminal master's degrees from 7 programs, including civil and environmental engineering, international policy, and sustainability science and practice. So we're very proud of all of them and their accomplishments. And you'll be hearing more about their accomplishments later as we read their bios and give them diplomas. But first, I'm honored to introduce our first speaker, our keynote speaker, we're really excited to have her, Rose Gottemoeller. Rose is the Stephen C. Hazy Lecturer at the Center for International Security and Cooperation at the Freeman Spogli Institute, and she is also a research fellow at the Hoover Institution. Before joining Stanford, Rose was the Deputy Secretary General of NATO from 2016 to 2019. She was the first woman to serve in that role. And she helped to drive forward NATO's adaptation to new security challenges in Europe and in the fight against terrorism. Prior to that, she served for nearly 5 years as the Undersecretary for Arms Control and International Security at the US State Department, where she advised the Secretary of State on arms control, non-proliferation, and political military affairs. While Assistant Secretary of State for Arms Control Verification and Compliance in 2009 and 2010, she was the chief US negotiator of the New Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or New START Treaty, with the Russian Federation. At Stanford, we're really lucky that Rose is a very active teacher and mentor of our students. She teaches in the Ford Dorsey Masters in International Policy program, also in the CSAC Honors program, which a number of our graduates participated in. She also contributes in a variety of ways to the conversations on campus about nuclear security and non-proliferation, US-Russia relations, and the NATO alliance. So we're really lucky to have her at Stanford, and I can think of no better person to speak at this commencement at this moment in history. So, Rose.
Thank you so much, Ken. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all today, and doesn't that breeze feel good? You know, I was so honored to have this invitation to speak to you all today, but before I say another word, I just want to say what a beautiful sight. It is so wonderful to see all the families gathered here today, and I actually wanted to address myself to you to begin with, to you parents, to you grandparents, and to all the other friends and family members who have been so important to the raising up of these young people. Thank you. They are the most amazing students whom I have ever encountered in my checkered career. They are simply amazing. Every day I am daunted by their smarts, the tough questions they ask, their search for knowledge. Teaching them is fun because they never stop asking questions, they never stop challenging themselves. We have been going through a rough period on this earth. Ken has already referred to it. The COVID-19 pandemic, the acceleration of climate change, this terrible war in Ukraine, the looming economic crisis, and the looming food crisis that goes along with it. But I am comforted by the caliber of your children and how they are going out in the world resolved to tackle these problems. They can do it. Of that, I am certain. Now, let me turn to you, the students, the classes of 2020, 2021, and 2022. Wow, you are amazing. I meant what I said a moment ago. I've really been daunted by your smarts. But at the same time, I'm greatly impressed about how you never choose the easy path. And you who have been out in the world already can probably reflect on that quite from your own experience. You're always looking for ways to learn and do. You are leaving this beautiful farm with the best possible preparation for finding your way in life. You might not hit the right path immediately. You might end up in a few dead ends. You might even wander in the wilderness for a while, deciding what you really like to do. I'm confident, however, that you have the savvy and the curiosity and the will to find your way. Gathering my thoughts to speak today, I thought about the rough period. And there goes my speech. No, I'm almost finished with that page. Don't worry about it, Kai. I thought about the rough period before us. Doesn't that breeze feel good? So, you know, first of all, we have to deal with these crises that are looming. And I've been wondering what you're thinking about them. Does it have to do more with being afraid or with being exhilarated? Some nights I'm afraid, like when I lie in bed awake and think about the nuclear saber rattling that Vladimir Putin has been undertaking. And some days I'm exhilarated when I think about the way NATO has come together and has really put forward strong resistance, helping the Ukrainians to fight this terrible invasion. And I'm exhilarated to see 2 new members of NATO in Stockholm, Sweden, and Helsinki, Finland, asking, and I hope soon, to join the alliance. That's not what Vladimir Putin had in mind when he started on his adventure, but it's 180 degrees different, and I welcome that very much. Mostly, however, I don't know what to make of it. My friend Anna Vasilyeva compared this needless war in Ukraine to a wild luge ride. We are hurtling downhill at a breakneck speed. We don't know whether we're going to crash and burn or come to a safe stop. I don't know, but somebody is going to have to figure out what's next. So here, I'd like to quote the writer Paula Houston, who put it very well when she said, "After a crisis, there is no going back. After a crisis, everything is made new." If everything is being made new in these crises, then that is territory for you. That is territory for you. You are the ones who can figure out the fixes, the solutions to climate change and pandemic disease and murderous tyrants who start needless wars. I have had my try, and I am proud of some of my accomplishments, especially the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, which continues to ensure that we know what the Russians are up to with their nuclear weapon systems, how they are deployed during this Ukraine crisis. Despite Putin's nuclear saber-rattling, President Biden has been able to say that we have not seen any rise in the operational readiness of the strategic nuclear forces of the Russian Federation. This is partially because the Russians tell us every day, thanks to the New START Treaty, what they are doing with their forces. They are notifying us if they are moving those weapon systems. Of course, we do the same. Everything is reciprocal, but it has contributed to predictability during this crisis. Of that, I am proud. On other things, I have to admit, I have been examining my conscience. People are asking me all the time whether it was right for us to negotiate in 1993 and 1994 to eliminate the nuclear weapons that were left in Ukraine when the Soviet Union broke apart. I have been thinking about it a lot, and on balance, I believe that we headed off an early conflict between Russia and Ukraine in the 1990s, one that might have even gone nuclear. We bought the Ukrainians 30 years of relative stability during which they claimed their sovereignty and became the strong country we see today, fighting fiercely to maintain their independence and indeed their national survival. But all of that is really beside my point. I've done my best, running the race to the end, as St. Paul used to say. Maybe I will come up with a few more ideas, but if everything is going to be made new, then it will be more your territory. And I'm quite sure I won't be able to keep up with you. That's not to say I don't have advice to offer, and I'm going to offer 3 of my favorite pieces of it right now. The first comes from one of our least regarded presidents, Calvin Coolidge. He said, "Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." Pretty good coming from Calvin Coolidge, wouldn't you say? No, I don't foresee any of this group becoming educated derelicts, but remember the power of persistence when you're getting knocked around by life, and you will be knocked around by life. It's come in very handy remembering that in my own life. The second piece of advice came from Ambassador Linton Brooks. He was the chief negotiator of the first Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, and in 1990 and 1991, I worked for him as a very young and green member of his delegation. Linton once told me when we were pulling all-nighters during the negotiations that, and I quote, "a shower is worth 4 hours of sleep." Think about it. I mean, you've probably already noticed this effect yourselves during exam week, right? But just don't take the advice of a friend of mine who's a real joker and said, okay, if you take 2 showers, one right after another, then you'll get a full 8 hours. It doesn't quite work that way. My third piece of advice comes from Dr. Joseph Coates, who was my professor in graduate school. I put up my hand in class one night and he called on me. And I said, well, I don't really know much about this subject, but, and Joe Coates said to me, stop right there. Never apologize for your ideas. Just put them out there and let them be debated. And that was a wonderful piece of advice. Again, I don't know about you ladies, but in my 20s, I often had the problem of apologizing too much for what I had to say. So just remember, it's come in handy for me, just remember too, and that goes for all of you, ladies and guys alike, never apologize for your ideas. Just get them out on the table. You can command the debate that way. And then if they turn out not to be so hot, you'll find out about it. As I wrap up, I want to say to all of you how grateful I am to you for the learning experiences you've given me. I have loved hearing your questions and comments in class. I've loved our individual advising sessions. I've loved listening to your final capstone and project presentations. And I have loved learning about your ambitions and job searches and helping out whenever I can. You have really given me so much. I'm profoundly grateful to you, the International Relations classes of 2020, 2021, and 2022 here at Stanford University. I wish you good luck and Godspeed. To you parents and families, once again, how lucky you are to have raised these brilliant young people. They will take everything made new by crisis and turn it to the benefit of all. Thank you for your persistence in raising them. They are spectacular. Thank you.